must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Viewers and the comrades, the people, the Pan-African people of Africa, and mainly the people of Kenya. Elections in Africa create difficulties. Everywhere in Africa, you find conflicts emanating from elections. Results declared, the loser does not come out to concede. Elections, if not well managed, can trigger the worst crisis for any nation in Africa. It is therefore very prudent for the people of Kenya not to buy populist ideas and forget the hinge point of electoral reforms, electoral injustices, electoral systems, mechanisms that can change Kenya and bring a credible results of an election where the losers and the winner will agree this was a fair contest. Given that circumstances, the circumstances that surround our badly managed elections, Kenya faces this challenge. A referenda of reducing MPs to zero does not solve your problem, because that problem of Kenya is a structural challenge. It's a structural challenge in the sense that the structures themselves give access to more money stolen, to more money hidden, to more money misappropriated by various institutions. Therefore, to have credible electoral reforms, credible electoral systems, credible electoral mechanisms will resolve 1/3 of the Kenya's problems, in that we shall have credible, proportionally elected people who represent all the views of the people of Kenya. That is my take. And that's the take of anybody who looks at the current situation, that any group that would come up and does not discuss the question of elections in Africa and in Kenya as a case study, and use it and look at how many dead bodies do we always collect when we mention the word elections. It is all over Africa. In Uganda, it is happening. In Zimbabwe, as we speak now, they are on the streets of Harare. It's because of elections. They want to come and overthrow and break down everything in Zimbabwe. It's elections. So elections in Africa create conflicts. But how can we stop violence before and after elections? Is through proportional representation of the model of South Africa, which has held elections, but there's peace on the streets of the cities. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you very much, my people of Kenya. That's my message. I stand to be corrected, but I think it is only until you get a proportional representation system that will deliver every part of this country into your house of representation, into your elections, is when stability and tranquility will be permanent forever in this country. Thank you.
back in 1998, the late Secretary General of the United Nations by name Kofi Annan thought of an idea, brought an idea of saying the only way to bring world order where crimes committed that are not punishable in local courts, local countries, regional courts could be taken to an international crimes court. The Rome Statute and Rome Treaty of 1998 July was an offspring of already cooked DSGE intelligence system mechanism to keep Africa under check. Up to date, the French government pays 70% of the salaries of the International Criminal Court, from the porter to the judge, to the prosecutor, and the rest of the other people. This was a project of Kofi Annan and the Kofi Annan Foundation, followed by George Soros as an accomplice of Kofi Annan, brought in by Luis Moreno Ocampo and the entire system of the West, some countries in the West, to keep check on African countries that did not agree with the policies of the French and to their policies of Western culture. The International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Luis Moreno Ocampo agreed in all this that yes, he has been picking money, extra monies, and we followed the story together with my group in France, powerful investigators in France who worked together with me, and we found out that, truly speaking, Luis Moreno Ocampo, Fernandez Gumedi, the former judge, the president of the International Criminal Court, laundered money, some coming from American banks themselves. This evidence was put in the ICC. In the case of Bashir versus the chief prosecutor, I filed an application, which I still have, and which I'm going to publicize again, so that people can know that I was right. I've been vindicated because the American friends now have found that my credibility is real, that I was right when I stood up to say this court is corrupt. This court laundered us money, $17 million of United States money, laundered through Bahamas, through New York banks, back to Ocampo's personal assistant, by then called Fernandez Gumedi Silvia, who later on rose to the ranks of becoming the president of International Criminal Court. It has taken us time, energy, effort, resources to investigate the corruption scandal that have rocked the International Criminal Court. Why should African countries continue to be in the ICC? Yet even the superpowers like America are saying no, we have enough courts to try our own people. Viewers, it has taken Americans over 20 years to listen to our voices when we told Reinberger in Nairobi that this court is a corrupt court.
Today, on the eve of September the 11th, I want to deliver a clear and unambiguous message on behalf of the President of the United States. The United States will use any means necessary to protect our citizens and those of our allies from unjust prosecution by this illegitimate court. We will not cooperate with the ICC. We will provide no assistance to the ICC, and we certainly will not join the ICC. We will let the ICC die on its own. After all, for all intents and purposes, the ICC is already dead to us.
A case of the Kenyan people. These cases in Kenya, the chief prosecutor called Fatou Bensouda put serious statements at the end of the cases, discharge and termination. In legal language, these cases pose a very serious threat in the future. What the people of Kenya can do, and they should do, is today to wrap up the work envelope. Because until this envelope is sealed, thrown in Indian Ocean, the chief prosecutor in the future will come and look for that envelope, use it to incriminate people again. It brings me back to the situation. America is sealing its journey out of the ICC. Why do you wait? Why don't you take this opportunity to seal your journeys out of the ICC? America is quitting, warning that it cannot no longer be a party to such an obnoxious court, a court that has no powers, that talks from this side and vomits from the other side, a court that cuts and pastes evidence, a court that buys witnesses, a court that incites incentives, gives incentives to witnesses of a passport and a relocation, then you tell lies about people. A court that sentences you as per the words there. Why should you leave a country that has a jury that checks on what the judges would do, the excesses of judges, and go to a country, a court that has no jury? Time has come for Africa to think. Do we need this court? Does Africa need this court? The ICC dragon has again woken up in Kenya. It has again come up in debates. Why should Kenya must quit ICC? Our topic this afternoon, why Kenya must quit ICC? Reasons. I stand alone, even if I'm left alone. Why Africa should quit ICC? Those who oppose this. Then why are we having our courts? Why do we have our courts? Why do we have a Chief Justice who has been able? ICC was created for complementarity. ICC was not created to usurp national sovereignty. ICC was not created to come and take over the judicial system of a country. ICC was not created to single out, to politicize, to engage in activities with NGOs, to maraud the whole African continent, dismembering the countries in Africa, fearing, putting people at cliffhanger politics. But
the question is there an alternative for the ICC? Is there an alternative court for Africa, leave alone Kenya? Because you know that for the past 2 decades, we have seen 10 African countries experience a civil war. So we cannot brush away the question of justice.
Fellow Africans, I took this petition to the court in order to stop any future usage of falsehood and false documents, procured witnesses of the Waki Commission. I took this petition to the court 4 years ago in order to make sure that the Chief Prosecutor of International Criminal Court does not use this evidence anytime in the future, whether tomorrow or 10 years to come, to refer to this evidence because the evidence was fake. It is with this dismay and with this courage that I took to go to court in Kenya to seek a judicial review and to redeem the credibility of both those accused and the victims of this catastrophe that occurred in Kenya, that I decided to seek to expunge this report from the reports and the statute books of Kenya. It is unfortunate that the 3 judges in Kenya, whom I will name now, Judge Kanyi Kimondo, Judge Aburil, and Judge Onyengo, all of them sat down and gave very silly, flimsy, prudish, sardonic ruling against our petition. I want to tell the Kenyans that I have done my best. I want to be on record that should this thing reappear again, don't call me. Should it reappear again, don't say I never told you. Should the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court use this fake evidence again against Kenyans, don't say I did not tell you. My role was to go and remove these obnoxious toxins from the books of the Republic of Kenya. I therefore want to tell the world that my torrid road, a long road that I've taken in search for this envelope, has ended in Kenya so far. But I want to announce that Kenya is not the only state party in international law. Kenya is not the only state party. I will in the future, very soon, detail to you which other state party I'm going to seek this envelope to be expunged and to be made public to the people of the world. I want to thank you all. I want to tell you that a detailed document which is entitled My Long Road, Torrid Road to Work envelope will be found on www.panafricanforumltd.com. You can read it, you can dissect, you can see the days, the long road, what I took, what I did, referenced, well documented, and may God help you that at one time somebody in Kenya will stand up to say thank you very much.
Our ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, laid out a clear agenda for reform, but despite reported and repeated warnings, no action at all was taken. So the United States took the only responsible course. We withdrew from the Human Rights Council, and we will not return until real reform is enacted. For similar reasons, the United States will provide no support and recognition to the International Criminal Court. As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority. The ICC claims near universal jurisdiction over the citizens of every country, violating all principles of justice, fairness, and due process. We will never surrender America's sovereignty to an unelected, unaccountable global bureaucracy.
Trump's decision to come out of ICC, which is International Criminal Court, sends a lot of signals and a lot of happiness to some of us. From time of the inception of ICC, David Matanga and others, I want to thank David Hoyle, my professor, Professor Hoyle in London. Thank you very much for mentoring me to stand firm to discuss the African question on the ICC. It is very important, therefore, for the people of Africa to understand that while you rejoice, while you want to hate Trump, Trump has made it very clear that globalization is not part of his agenda.
America is governed by Americans. We reject the ideology of globalism, and we embrace the doctrine of patriotism. Around the world, responsible nations must defend against threats to sovereignty, not just from global governments, but also from other new forms of coercion and domination.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting all the way from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi, wherever you are in Africa. Good morning. Good morning in Tripoli. Good morning in Casablanca. Good morning in Morocco, Rabat, Tunis, Algiers, Algeria. Good morning in Harare, Zimbabwe. Good morning in Cape Town, Johannesburg, Rwanda, Kinshasa, Accra, Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. Good morning in Banjul. Good morning in Bangui, Central African Republic, and the African nation, the lion, the African nation Gambia. Good morning. Good morning in Bamako. Good morning in Asmara. Good morning in Mogadishu. Good morning, President Mohammed Abdullahi Mohammed Farmajo. Good morning. Good morning, viewers in Dar es Salaam. Good morning, viewers in Malawi, Blantyre, and Lilongwe. Good morning in Maputo. Good morning wherever you are in Africa. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television, the only African television that brings you African news, defends Africa, stands for Africa. We look at factors that ail Africa, those factors that kill Africa. What makes Africa a dark continent? Yet, we were given a special color of darkness. That is what we want to dissect this morning. One of the things that I want to look at this morning, this show usually is Good Morning Africa. We turned it into diplomatic leaks under Good Morning. I'll start with the Kenyan news headlines. The news headlines in Kenya are very, very interesting. First, they depict exactly what I said in 2008. It is 12 years since I stated my ground and stood my ground about the ICC cases in Kenya. Those who doubted me cannot doubt me anymore.
I want to state this categorically, that it's better to be praised when you are still alive than to come to have an eulogy about what you did. I did, I stood, I told you. And I said to Kenyans, to international community, to all Africans, these cases are fake. The evidence was faked, fabricated, procured to destroy some African countries. Today, I stand here in Nairobi vindicated. It is better to be praised when I'm still alive. Don't wait to come to All Saints Church in London or in wherever I will be for my prayers, because I'm an Anglican in any Saints Church, an Anglican church, and praise me. Praise me now, because I told you. Not because I had anything, but because I have the knowledge of international operations. There is nobody who can defeat me on international operations as far as these pseudo agencies are concerned. Bring it on, and we shall go. 12 years ago, I stood firm, alone, single-handedly, in this country, called names, baptized names, called all types of manner of names, conman, everything. They said I was stupid conman coming to con Kenyans' money. I told them I've never conned any Kenyan money. I was telling them this is ICC is a fake organization. Today, history, you don't need to read it because I'm not yet gone. I'm here. I'm here. And anyone who has anything wrong with me saying, I told you, let him come across. I told you. From the word go. I told you this evidence was fake. All these Kenyan cases were faked. Someone faked the cases. Someone wanted to fill a vacuum of international operation to make one country suffer. I'll tell you more. But let's come back to the headlines in Kenya. The day the Star newspaper brings it all with facts, sets facts, puts facts. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's ICC evidence was fake, fabricated. And this is what Matsanga said. You can see for what I said. That's what Matsanga exactly. I didn't know Uhuru. And I want to tell people who think I live because of Uhuru. No, I don't live because of Uhuru. I did not know Uhuru. I did not know Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The only time I saw Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was when we were flying to London, sometime when he was a leader of opposition. We flew in business class together to London when he was going to investigate Mr. Githongo. That's all. I had not known him beyond that. I had not known Ruto. Had not known Mudhaura. Had not known Major General Hussein Ali. I see them on TV. I used to see them on TV. I had not known Joshua Sang, the shortest man. I hadn't known him. I had not known Mr. Kosige. I didn't know him. But I came in because I knew the system of international criminal justice, the international law. Those who want to deal with me on international law, come, let's do an exam. I'm prepared for an exam even when my eyes are closed. Because I have to speak for myself. I'm here. Don't come to make an apology when I'm dead. That my sons and the children and my daughters, 8 of them watching me, know that the father stood for Africa. I might be poor, but I have the facts to dismember these international agencies. They are crooked. They are full of corrupt individuals. There is no justice. The oath of justice is altered. All African cases in the ICC have a similar fate. Time has come today for Africa to rise up, stand up, get out of this, form a new organization that can bring Africa and justice to the victims of the people of the massacres in Africa. Time has come for Africa to withdraw. And I've called this. If you don't withdraw, you will face my curse. Kenya does not want to withdraw from this court. You are heading there again. Kenya does not want to pull out of this court. Believe me or not. Oh, you will head there again. The Matsangas might not be around anymore. We might have been taken away by events of God's liking, or we might be too old to save you. Age is catching up with us who have stood for Africa. Age is catching up. We are going, very few of us who talk like I talk. I don't talk for tickets. I don't talk to be bought tickets to come to talk to you. I speak facts. I tell you, all the African cases are fake. You can't take Bemba without taking the president of Central African Republic who called Bemba. What stupid court is this? You can't get LRA when you did not call UPDF. NRA that killed also the people of northern Uganda. Stupid court. Look at it. Look at it. You can't call Said Gaddafi when you have not called the terrorists who killed the people in Libya. They are there. General Khalifa, one of the terrorists that dismembered Libya. You haven't charged him. You are charging Muhammad Gaddafi's son. Is that fair? You can't take Thomas Lubanga without taking the leader of Congo, whose troops maimed, killed, slaughtered, ate people, cannibalized people. You can't take one side. While in Europe you are taking the Bosnians and the Serbs, in Africa you are taking only one side of the conflict. Look at the entire place. In West Africa we took Babugo and we left Ouattara. President Ouattara was fighting with bullets that had water. And the President Babugo was fighting with bullets that had copper. So Ouattara did not kill, but Babugo killed. Look at the ICC. That's the ICC for you. For those in Africa who are still smiling, you can continue smiling, but your time is coming. If you don't quit this obnoxious organization, they are coming back for you. They will come back for you. Thomas Lubanga, where are the Democratic Republic of Congo troops? Where are the commanders? Where is Kabila? Where are Kabila's commanders in the DRC Congo case? All the cases of DRC Congo, where is Kabila? Where is Kabila? If you say ICC is one organization that you call a good organization, where is Kabila? Let's go to Sudan. Bashir. The case of Bashir is a very interesting case. And I'm waiting for the Sudanese to hand over Bashir. Then I will become a key witness internationally. I will even take over international forum. I will stand in the international arena, win a Nobel Prize, for bringing down ICC once for all. In the case of Sudan, Mr. Moreno Ocampo was paid $17 million from a bank in the United States of America, an NGO that wanted to fix Mr. Ali Bashir because he, I don't want to say it here, he was a Muslim. I'm sorry, I have to say it here today. That Christian NGO paid $17 million through United States banks, through other banks in Africa, through other banks in Europe, that were paid to the personal assistant of Mr. Moreno Ocampo, Luis Moreno Ocampo, who was by name Sylvia Fernandez, who became the presiding judge of the International Criminal Court. Bashir's indictment was pure money. Mr. Moreno Ocampo ate 17 gambled $17 million laundered through international banks, through United States of America, into his accounts, to the accounts of the personal assistant called Sylvia Fernandez Gumedi. Madame Sylvia Fernandez Gumedi later on comes out as a presiding judge over all these African cases, victimizing, imprisoning, sentencing Africans. The case of Bashir, show me the people in Darfur, the Jema group. Where are they? Were there no rebels in Jema shooting? Were they shooting with water? Which type of water were they using that did not kill people? Why did you take one side of the aisle? You took Bashir, you not take the Jema Darfur fighters. Yes, in all this, I've not said people did not die. People died. My biggest problem is not, and I repeat, my biggest problem with ICC is the manner of investigations, is the character of investigations, is the character of procurement of witnesses, is the character of falsifying documents, is the character of pinning innocent people, is the failure to investigate, the methodology of investigation, the research involved in investigations. The ICC Chief Prosecutor's Office, both Mr. Ocampo, the former and the current Skati woman called Fatou Bensouda, both of them, I have no good words for you. For my sister, the African, I can now cool down a bit. Because you owe me an apology. An apology for having called me a liar. I'm coming back. I want my name cleared in that same court. Why you called me a liar when I was right. I'm coming back with evidence. You forgot. You gave me back the evidence on audio tapes. And you told me never to say to the world. The court sentenced me, silenced me. When I was telling the truth, you called me a vexatious litigant. I want you today to tell me how vexatious, how low deeper into your stomach I was vexatious. Madam Speaker, Madam Prosecutor, I want you to tell me why you killed my name. Why my sons and daughters, grown-ups, today read my name as a liar. It is that name I want to clear now. You either quickly do it or you face private prostitution. I know your house in Hampstead where you live. When you retire, I will be on the doorsteps to make sure you pay for the price through the courts in a republic, in a country where there is no interference. You will pay for it. Take it from me. I've suffered. I've been called names. I want the NGOs. I want Professor Makau Mutua, Maina Kiai, Gladys Otieno, Njonjo Moe, Harun Dube. I want you to apologize to me. If you fail to apologize to me, I'll drag you to Kenyan courts. I want that apology. You wrote documents, especially Makau Mutua, you wrote documents dragging me as a liar, as a conman. Yet I was not a conman. I was telling the truth. It has come out, not from me, but international experts mandated by the international law to look at the evidence of the International Criminal Court. I deserve that apology from the Kenyan NGOs. At least I'll forgive Wafula, Ken Wafula, who is gone to the Mecca. But when we meet there, one day, I want him to apologize to me for having created an academy of witnesses. I want Moses Kuria to apologize to the Kenyans. Why he recruited witnesses to fix William Ruto. He hasn't done it well. Now it is a circus. Now it is a circus. And the same, why I'm talking this, the same Moses Kuria today is walking around this country with Ruto, drumming violence. I'm speaking today because the international community has vindicated me. There is nothing. They haven't vindicated Karim Khan. He did nothing. He got the money. But I got the value. The value of patriotism, of standing for Africa. I did not get a payment. But I got the value. And I want to teach the people of Africa, the younger generation, to emulate me. Stand as a lone ranger, you will win. I stood as a lone ranger. People laughed at me. But here we are. Here we are. Tell me I did not say it. Tell me I did not single-handedly be insulted on those television stations. I want to thank Jeff Koinange, my brother Jeff Koinange, for doing the best that we did. From 2008, to look to that we are the only Kenyans, the only East Africans who bothered about the plight of our people. The good thing is that I and Koinange, we did it. At least Koinange was related to Uhuru Kenyatta. But I was not related to any of them. I did it with courage. I walked. I flew. I used my money to fly. I used my money, and I want to repeat, I used my money to fly. None of them paid me to fly. None of them gave me money to fly. I stood because I knew there was a fake court. Do you know what they did to us? Do you know what they did to us in Uganda? President Museveni, I said you listen to this testimony.
President Museveni, time has come for us to listen to each other. This world is not for you alone. The struggle goes on. You can't stop the struggle. I want to thank you for having listened. For us, you and me, we stood firm, and Dr. Rugunda, Ruakana Rugunda, Riek Machar, Chisano, Salva Kiir, President Museveni, myself, and my delegation, we refused what ICC was doing to Africa. For this one, President Museveni, I give you credit. You agreed for the first time in history that ICC was a silly court. And you wanted Ugandans to have peace. Your Excellency, you did very well. You agreed to a peace process of which I risked my life to cross over to the bushes and the forest of Garamba Park to walk the terrain I never liked, to find the murderers who had killed people, put them on table, told them to accept. As a result, I and the Chisano, we flew to the United Nations ICC headquarters. We are the first people to be arrested. I and the Chisano. The judge, the late Judge Khan of Germany, he arrested me, but he laughed at me. He said, if you don't produce the documents signed by the indictee, you will never leave this court again. We were with Chisano for some few moments. We became prisoners. But because Mr. Chisano, and we are working under UN mandate, myself, Chisano, Riek Machar, my delegation, the UN Secretary General said, you have made a mistake. Those are delegates for peace. We are not combatants. So when I saw Mr. Rui Moreno Campo coming to Kenya, this is 2005, 2006, I'm being arrested by a court. Yet I was a representative discussing peace. In Uganda, they went and looked for the tall one, the slim one, the short one, the black, the yellow, the green. They left. They took black ones, the Luo. That's what they have done. That's what ICC has done in this country, Africa. It's not only Uganda. It's not only Kenya. This is an obnoxious court. This court is dangerous. If you look at all this, this is all I've struggled. I've kept it up to today. I struggled. All the evidence is here with me, well documented. See here, one by one. They falsified evidence. They destroyed evidence. They worked politically to destroy people. I have a heap and a heap of evidence. This is not a court. The area Kenya leaves this court. The area Uganda leaves this court and forms an African Court of Human Rights and other criminal activities, the better. The Kibera Court and the Mengo Court and the Juba Court or Harare Court, Magistrates Court, is better than ICC. ICC is a court without a jury. ICC is a court where the chief prosecutor is the presenter of evidence, the evaluator of evidence, and the determinant of evidence. She determines that give him 10 years, because you can't go to the court of appeal. The appeal is part of the investigator. The investigator is part of the prosecutor. The prosecutor is part of the determinant person who should give you the sentence to carry, to be convicted. That's how it is. The International Criminal Court is a court that works because of George Soros. I want to bring this George Soros element because everybody in Kenya, when I talk about George Soros, they think I tell a story which is not very far. George Soros contributes to the court, pays the money, salaries to the court. France is the main contributor, 70% of the salaries of the workers, from a toilet cleaner to the judge or Suji, is paid by France. Therefore, France determines if you are out of their way, if you don't like them, they take you. Kofi Annan, the late, may his soul rest in peace, was a good African, but a very bad white person. Usually in Africa, we don't talk about the dead. But for me, I did not hide my hatred for Kofi Annan. That when he died, I did not drop an ear. I dropped an eye and a tear, sorry. No tears came out. Just as there are people in Africa that when they go down, if I'm still alive, some of them I will not cry. Just as I said, when Mandela went down, I felt emotion, but I did not cry. But when Mugabe went down, I cried. Yes. I cried for Machel, Samora Machel. Because nobody in Africa wants to find out who killed Samora Machel. I cried for Dr. Milton Obote because nobody wanted to remember what he did for our country, Uganda. Why he was overthrown? Because he wanted South Africa, Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe. That's why I've carried on his work to fight for Zimbabwe up to the end, to make sure that Zimbabwe returns to the international community. Zimbabwe returns to the Commonwealth. I am on that agenda. I will have fulfilled it. Believe me, watch my eyes. Watch me today. Zimbabwe will return to the Commonwealth. Zimbabwe will return to the Commonwealth. Look at this giant. You might underrate me, but I'm a giant. We shall return Zimbabwe to the Commonwealth. Look at him. I might cry. And I cried for Nyerere. I did cry. I traveled to the remotest area But because my nemesis at that time was present at the burial, I kept low profile. Because President Museveni was invited. At that time, we had not sorted out our mess. We had not shaken hands. Handshake. People talk of handshake. I did a handshake. A handshake. Said two bulls cannot stay in one crowd. They shake hands. You stay where you are, and I stay where I am. And that's it. But I cried for Nyerere. Why I'm saying this is I'm bringing out Africans. I've turned this into a lecture because if I don't lecture, nobody will understand me. Why are we still in the ICC? Even when international agency itself says the ICC is fake. Why is Africa in this? What are we doing there? Why are we carrying our briefcases that we are going for an ICC meeting? Instead of carrying our briefcases to go for an African Court of Justice, of which Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta paid $1 million for the construction, the arrangement, the implementation of African Court of Justice. His Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta paid $1 million for African Court of Justice to try Africans in Africa, on the African continent. Today, if you look at the AU, which has been captured by the same country that created ICC, France, if you ask for this money, Mr. President, it is not there. It is not there. The money has been eaten. Mr. Mohamed Mafaki, the money is eaten. Ask for accountability, nobody. Petier. That's what we are. $1 million paid by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to the African Union for creation of the African Court of Justice to try Africans for crimes against humanity, human rights abuses on the continent of Africa. Nobody has ever followed the idea Africa is quiet. I want to thank the experts for bringing out this. There are people who might not know why we are talking. The Kenyan cases, therefore, work as an example. When you touch Kenya, you touch Africa. Viewers, key developments in the Kenyan case, ICC case. On 31st March, investigations 2010, the court allowed investigations in the Kenyan cases. On 15th December 2010, summons to appear requested. On 8th March 2011, summons to appear issued. On 8th April, this is the journey we have walked. This is the journey I've walked. Prior to 2008, I walked this journey up to the end. The first appearance on 8th April 2011. On 21st September 2011, confirmation of charges. Fake. We are confirming fake charges. You see, the whole international community is glued on falsehood. They did not hear Matsanga. They said this is an African, a very silly man. We are now confirming charges. Confirmation of charges hearing opens on 21st September 2011. On October 5th, 2011, the hearing closes. 21st January, confirmation of charges hearing closes. No. Decision, charges not confirmed for Ali. Decision, charges confirmed for charges confirmed for Mr. Muthaura and Mr. Kenyatta. 23rd January. On 11th March, still I was struggling. Don't forget, between 2012, the chief prosecutor arrested me. They connived with the late Saitoti. I was detained, arrested for 3 days, answering questions in Fairview Hotel. No telephones were removed. Everything was removed. I want to take this opportunity to thank my lawyers. Chief Charles Taku, Dan Mwangi, and my PA, who is now married in Switzerland. Thank you very much. And another gentleman called Sagero. He's a man from Kisii who did not leave Fairview Hotel. Slept, stood outside. He's a Kisii man. He's a huge guy called Sagero. Because he did not know where the ICC were going to take me, to kill me, or to do whatever they wanted to do to me. Because the climate in Kenya was very volatile. If you supported Kenyatta or supported Ruto at that time, you could go down the drain of slaughterhouse and be killed. I walked. Sagero, I owe you. I know you might have not got a job anywhere, but one day in our kingdom is coming. One day you'll get it. You stood, you refused to go home to see your children, to wait until even midnight, at times 2 a.m. to see whether I was alive or not. Because the ICC said I should not have any contact with anybody. They took me to a hotel where you cannot jump out of the fence because you'd be shot by this other side and the other side. You know where Fairview Hotel is. I thank God for having told them the truth until they gave me time to say the truth. They said, do you have anything to say? I gave them 1 hour, including the tapes where they were bribed, where the chief prosecutor was bribed by a president in Africa. Thank you very much, that man, that president, my friend, for somewhere in Africa. Yes, that tape, I said, but you say you don't bribe people. Here in London, you are seen being paid $250,000. There you are, take it to the judges and let's meet in court. That finished them. I'm waiting. I've waited. They later on, in 2012, withdrew all charges, terminated all proceedings without an apology to me. As I stand there, I was not part of the people in Kenya who took part in all this. Why was I victimized? Why did I lose my job of £700,000 per annum as a senior consultant of a news agency called Sky News in Africa, where I could use money to sleep on the tree under the water, in the toilet, on the bed, in a 5-star hotel, in a plane, business class. I lost my job. But I did not give up. I continue to struggle for my Africans so that in the future they think about the sacrifice of some of us, not their sacrifice. I feel so much angered when I see the same climate coming back. It's the sacrifice I took. I have not asked any of them to give me a job. I'm still tamacking. The sacrifice I took to stand, not the lawyers. You cannot win an international case without noise, without activism. Go to God and ask. Go and ask God, can we win a case without activism? Kenya must learn that. Kenyans must learn that from today. Don't blame Wamutata. Wamutata's activism is local, around here. But you need the Matsanga activism internationally. You can't win the maritime climate dispute without activism. Kenyan leaders, watch this. Don't spend money in hotels. Don't spend money dishing people to go for what? There is nothing. If you don't have contacts and a network internationally, you can't win. Don't lie to people. You will come back and you will be here with nothing. We use international contacts, international activism, lobby to bring down, to expose ICC. Today, the ICC is a shell of liars. They lie. Is there any credibility left? The answer is no. The answer is no. There's no credibility left in the International Criminal Court. All African cases were bungled. I want to take this opportunity to advise my people of Kenya, especially those who are involved in the leadership, to be careful, to tread carefully. Some of us are going in the sunset. I am going in the sunset. Bracket. I might not have the energy to fight like I did fight 11 years ago. You might not have my voice, but don't go into the temperature rising activities that we see in Kenya today. These temperature rising activities create worry, create chaos for the people, create fear, can create violence. Don't. Viewers, there are several cases in Africa that we see that are unfair. Bosco Ntaganda, Thomas Lubanga, Bemba, Saif Gaddafi, the president of Ivory Coast, Babugo, the Ugandan case, RRA commanders versus the chief prosecutor. One commander is on trial because he did not agree with the agreement that we signed in Juba, because those who signed and agreed are back in Uganda. They have never committed any crime. They have never done anything wrong to anybody. They are still observing the rules on which the amnesty was given. We worked out a reconciliation in our country, Uganda. We did local mechanisms to bring about harmony in a community that was divided by war. I want to thank Dr. Rugunda, His Excellency President Museveni, Dr. Riek Machar, Dr. Kisano, President Kibaki, Moses Wetangula, Kabila. These are the people who encouraged us to come to an amicable solution for the 22-year-old war. 11 years have passed. Most of us did not get the money of the allowances that we worked for. But we never went back because we did not get the money to see anything. Our country is safe. It might have a deficit of political democracy, but it has no deficit of insecurity. It doesn't have insecurity at all. Uganda is safe. There is no war. It will not come again. Never will it come, because people have healed. Those who want to spoil it can spoil it, but people have healed. My people, the Luo community of northern Uganda, are peacefully seated at home. They might have poverty, which is normal for every African country, but they have peace. That is what I wanted. That was my achievement. I want to thank you all, the people of Kenya, that avoid situation where you end up again the way we ended up in 2008, 2007, 2008. I want to take this opportunity, therefore, to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya for introducing what we call BBI, a redemption strategy that will not listen. But before I sit down, I want to take this opportunity to warn people who stopped, who still refused the work envelope. What kills Kenya and what will kill Kenya is that fake work envelope. If the ICC now says the evidence was fake, why does the Kenya Parliament keep work envelope in the statute of the books of the Parliament in the hazard? Why do you keep that motion? Why do you keep it? Why do you allow Justice Waki to go home honorably when he was the man who presided over fake evidence? Why? Why? Article 35 is very clear of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. Information, access to information. We tried it. I lost in the Maraga court. I lost 7 million shillings. 7 million shillings from my pocket. I wanted to get this envelope crushed, removed. That is what a sacrifice for a country is. Thank you very much, viewers. God bless you. Let's take a break. When we come back, we shall look at African news and other developments on the continent. Thank you. Fellow Africans, I took this petition to the court in order to stop any future usage of falsehood and false documents, procured witnesses of
the Waki Commission. I took this petition to the court 4 years ago in order to make sure that the Chief Prosecutor of International Criminal Court does not use this evidence anytime in the future, whether tomorrow or 10 years to come, to refer to this evidence because the evidence was fake. It is with this dismay and with this courage that I took to go to court in Kenya to seek a judicial review and to redeem the credibility of both those accused and the victims of this catastrophe that occurred in Kenya, that I decided to seek to expunge this report from the reports and the statute books of Kenya. It is unfortunate that the 3 judges in Kenya, whom I will name now, Judge Kanyi Kimondo, Judge Aburil, and Judge Onyengo, all of them sat down and gave very silly, flimsy, prudish, sardonic ruling against our petition. I want to tell the Kenyans that I have done my best. I want to be on record that should this thing reappear again, don't call me. Should it reappear again, don't say I never told you. Should the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court use this fake evidence again against Kenyans, don't say I did not tell you. My role was to go and remove these obnoxious toxins from the books of the Republic of Kenya. I therefore want to tell the world that my torrid road, a long road that I've taken in search for this envelope, has ended in Kenya so far. But I want to announce that Kenya is not the only state party in international law. Kenya is not the only state party. I will in the future, very soon, detail to you which other state party I'm going to seek this envelope to be expunged and to be made public to the people of the world. I want to thank you all. I want to tell you that a detailed document which is entitled My Long Road, Torrid Road to Waki Envelope will be found on www.panafricanforumltd.com. You can read it, you can dissect, you can see the days, the long road, what I took, what I did, referenced, well documented, and may God help you that at one time somebody in Kenya will stand up to say thank you very much.
Our ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, laid out a clear agenda for reform, but despite reported and repeated warnings, no action at all was taken. So the United States took the only responsible course. We withdrew from the Human Rights Council, and we will not return until real reform is enacted. For similar reasons, the United States will provide no support and recognition to the International Criminal Court. As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority. The ICC claims near universal jurisdiction over the citizens of every country, violating all principles of justice, fairness, and due process. We will never surrender America's sovereignty to an unelected, unaccountable global bureaucracy.
Trump's decision to come out of ICC, which is International Criminal Court, sends a lot of signals and a lot of happiness to some of us. From time of the inception of ICC, David Matanga and others, I want to thank David Hoyle, my professor, Professor Hoyle in London. Thank you very much for mentoring me to stand firm to discuss the African question on the ICC. It is very important, therefore, for the people of Africa to understand that while you rejoice, while you want to hate Trump, Trump has made it very clear that globalization is not part of his agenda.
America is governed by Americans. We reject the ideology of globalism, and we embrace the doctrine of patriotism. Around the world, responsible nations must defend against threats to sovereignty, not just from global governments, but also from other new forms of coercion and domination. In America, we believe strongly in energy security for ourselves and for our allies.
Today, as we speak, this nation cannot be the same. This nation is paralyzed. This nation needs serious redemption, needs the building of bridges. As a result of the ICC, the anger that was flowing from one end to the other created a problem that we see here, but people don't want to admit. People wait in Africa. Trump is correct. Let's wake up. Let's have a rebirth that delivers to hope so that our people don't perish in the Mediterranean Sea. A rebirth that will bring about peaceful resolution of conflicts, like the conflicts that occur in South Sudan between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. These conflicts don't give us any hope. These conflicts don't give us anything that is yearned for. These conflicts are a pity to Africa. We are lulled into the ICC in 1998 by Kofi Annan. America rejected ICC, stood firm and said, we can give you the money, but we shall not ratify for you because we have institutions. We have failed our own judiciary systems, but we want to be judged by another judiciary system which has no jury, it has no evidence, it has no separation of powers between the chief prosecutor and the investigative arm, and then with the prosecuting arm. That's the Africa we have. Very much, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television once again for our second part of the show. Viewers on the satellite system in Berlin, thank you very much. I've seen you very active. You've sent quite a lot of, messages on the question of ICC. We agree
that Africa must have its own court, and that is the essence of why we are here. Thank you very much. Now we shall look at the African news, what is happening elsewhere in Africa. Of course, in Kenya, we started with Kenya, and as you know, as usual, the program for the Big Four agenda and the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta and the BBI. Today is 9th of March 2020, the year of our Lord, when the BBI was hammered. So we shall look at that all afternoon. But those listeners on the radio, you can continue in Swahili, and the Swahili program is going on with Mr. Pande or Pande Wapa Pande. Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, and let's get the African news doing rounds. Yesterday, we saw in Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta meeting at the football match. My team was beaten very badly. My team is AFC. And whenever it plays, it has not impressed me. I used to be a good supporter. We see that on the Standard. We see on the Daily Nation uproar of a plan to impeach Ruto. Whether President Ruto will be impeached. Is he a helpless man or a fearless fighter? He's not fearless. He's helpless. He needs help. That all is what I can summarize in the papers in Africa as we wait. But elsewhere in Africa, Sudanese Prime Minister escapes. Sudanese Prime Minister escapes assassination. This is very, very serious. Some time back, I was telling people here, joking in the studio, that things might not be rosy for the Sudanese Prime Minister. Little known to me was that an assassination attempt could be made on his life. I hope this does not come at the time when things are working in a different direction. Sudan needs peace, and that peace is needed in Sudan. So the news coming out of Sudan is the Prime Minister escaped assassination this morning or yesterday. The Sudanese Prime Minister escaped assassination. There was an assassination attempt on the life of the Prime Minister of Sudan in Khartoum. And that is the news coming out from Khartoum. I'm just looking for some breaking news. Sudanese Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok has survived an assassination attempt targeting his convoy in the capital city Khartoum. State television said source in the cabinet said on Monday this morning. Handbook had been moved to a safe location, state television said. Oh my God, that is what is happening there right now in Khartoum. Things are not rosy. But all this they come because there are people who have not understood reconciliation. The new leaders in Khartoum need to reconcile. You cannot ban the entire party of Bashir. Ban it. You cannot allow activities of a generation of people who have been in that party for a long time. That's why you see killings are coming back, assassination attempts. It's a fragile state. The entire party of Bashir was banned, was finished, was told never to participate. People have no other place where to go. Therefore, it brings us to the question of Africa. What do we do with our politics? the ever-ending wrangles in our political lifeline always produces difficulties. When you look at the rate at which Africa goes out to sort a mess, you can't see the seriousness. What can we do to be very serious? We take things lightly, and these are some of the things that is exactly what the situation is. Let's cross over and we bring a caption on Sudan, the events that led to a coup. If the production team can search for such a production, bring it out, please. Today, thousands and thousands of Africans and many countries in Africa have conflicts. Notably, from Libya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Biafra, and Boko Haram, to Democratic Republic of Congo, of where we have seen a resurgence of the past military and conflicts coming back in that country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been displaced, killed, maimed, tortured, raped, several of them dying of hunger, starvation, and other natural causes. The fighting seems not to be ending. For the sake of Libya, the Libyan recognized international government is under siege in Tripoli from another faction recognized by Egypt, France, UAE, and other countries. Whereas the one in Tripoli is recognized by the UN, it has been bombarded, has been strangulated, and many millions of Libyans are dying of hunger, lack of water. The water system has been cut off. The bombardment goes on. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we've seen more of active rebel activities returning to the region after some silence has been observed. When we come to Cameroon, we see millions and millions of Amazonians slaughtered. Yet, when you come to Biafra, again millions and hundreds of millions and millions are worried, displaced, tortured by the Buhari regime. Yet again in the north, we see Boko Haram killing, maiming, abducting, and burning down villages in the same Nigeria. When you cross over to Central African Republic, the same is the history that has littered Africa. While all these events are taking shape, Africa is silent. Africa is not making enough efforts to find a solution to what is causing the problems in Libya, in DRC, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, Biafra, and now you add in Khartoum, Sudan. As people die, the people of Africa have no answers, have no solutions. There is nothing to endear to bring an end to the conflicts that have killed Africa. We seem to be new ones manufactured, old ones reignited, encouragement coming from external powers. One power that has been seen in the shadows of all these conflicts, especially the one of Libya that has escalated in the Sahara region of Africa, is France. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, the same country is in the shadows. The war can be seen is France. When you come to Cameroon, in the Amazonia, the one behind that has the key to bringing peace is France. Therefore, our question as Africans, why are we silent? Why are we not saying enough is enough of the wars? Thank you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Way back in 1998, the late Secretary General of the United Nations by name Kofi Annan thought of an idea, brought an idea of saying the only way to bring world order where crimes committed that are not punishable in local courts, local countries, regional courts could be taken to an international crimes court. The Rome Statute and Rome Treaty of 1998 July was an offspring of already cooked DSGE intelligence system mechanism to keep Africa under check. Up to date, the French government pays 70% of the salaries of the International Criminal Court, from the porter to the judge, to the prosecutor, and the rest of the other people. This was a project of Kofi Annan and the Kofi Annan Foundation, followed by George Soros as an accomplice of Kofi Annan, brought in by Luis Moreno Campo and the entire system of the West, some countries in the West, to keep check on African countries that did not agree with the policies of the French and to their policies of Western culture. The International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Luis Moreno Ocampo agreed in all this that yes, he has been picking money, extra monies, and we followed the story together with my group in France, powerful investigators in France who worked together with me. And we found out that, truly speaking, Luis Moreno Ocampo, Fernandez Gumedi, the former judge, the president of the International Criminal Court, laundered money, some coming from American banks themselves. This evidence was put in the ICC. In the case of Bashir versus the chief prosecutor, I filed an application which I still have and which I'm going to publicize again so that people can know that I was right. I've been vindicated because the American friends now have found that my credibility is real, that I was right when I stood up to say this court is corrupt. This court launders money, $17 million of United States money, laundered through Bahamas, through New York banks, back to Ocampo's personal assistant by then, called Fernandez Gumedi Silvia, who later on rose to the ranks of becoming the president of International Criminal Court. It has taken us time, energy, effort, resources to investigate the corruption scandal that have rocked the International Criminal Court. Why should African countries continue to be in the ICC? Yet even the superpowers like America are saying no, we have enough courts to try our own people. Viewers, it has taken Americans over 20 years to listen to our voices when we told Reinberger in Nairobi that this court is a corrupt court.
Today, on the eve of September the 11th, I want to deliver a clear and unambiguous message on behalf of the President of the United States. The United States will use any means necessary to protect our citizens and those of our allies from unjust prosecution by this illegitimate court. We will not cooperate with the ICC. We will provide no assistance to the ICC, and we certainly will not join the ICC. We will let the ICC die on its own. After all, for all intents and purposes, the ICC is already dead to us.
A case of the Kenyan people. These cases in Kenya, the chief prosecutor called Fatou Bensouda put serious statements at the end of the cases, discharge and termination. In legal language, these cases pose a very serious threat in the future. What the people of Kenya can do, and they should do, is today to wrap up the work envelope. Because until this envelope is sealed, thrown in the Indian Ocean, the chief prosecutor in the future will come and look for that envelope, use it to incriminate people again. It brings me back to the situation. America is sealing its journey out of the ICC. Why do you wait? Why don't you take this opportunity to seal your journeys out of the ICC? America is quitting warning that it cannot no longer be a party to such an obnoxious court, a court that has no powers, that talks from this side and vomits from the other side, a court that cuts and pastes evidence, a court that buys witnesses, a court that incites incentives, gives incentives to witnesses of a passport and a relocation, then you tell lies about people. A court that sentences you as per the words there. Why should you leave a country that has a jury that checks on what the judges would do, the excesses of judges, and go to a country, a court that has no jury? Time has come for Africa to think. Do we need this court? Does Africa need this court?
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
محاولة لاغتيال رئيس مجلس الوزراء السوداني عبد الله حمدوك. العربية اللي اتفجرت ذاك الموقف بتاعه كان ده في حوالي الساعة 9:05 تقريبا. في الكيزان ده قوب الحي الواحة دي العربية اللي اتفجرت. عارفين دي دانا ولا قنبلة. البيوت كلها جزازة اتكسر.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Abdallah Hamdok, Prime Minister of the Republic of Sudan. I have great pleasure in welcoming the Prime Minister of the Republic of Sudan and invite him to address the General Assembly.
Sayyid Rais.
Mr. President, Your Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Excellencies, Ministers, Heads of Delegations, Your Excellency, Secretary General of the United Nations, ladies and gentlemen, may the peace and blessing of God be upon you. On behalf of the government and the people of the Sudan, I would like to wish this session all the best. I would like to congratulate Your Excellency.
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting all the way from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi. This is Diaspora Dispatches, where we look at the events that are taking place, shape in Africa, elsewhere on the continent. Just breaking news coming in from Khartoum. indicated that the Prime Minister, Mr. of Sudan, has just survived an assassination attempt. Breaking news coming in from Khartoum indicated that the Prime Minister of Sudan, Mr. Hamdok, has survived an assassination attempt which was aimed at eliminating him in Khartoum this morning. A shoot bomb blast of assassins wanted to assassinate the Prime Minister of Sudan in Khartoum. He is safe, taken away in safety. That's breaking news coming from Khartoum. We are online with looking for Dr. Mukhtar from Khartoum, who will tell us what is taking place there, what is happening, and what might be taking shape in Khartoum, the capital. Remember, the struggle in Sudan is linked to the struggle of whether you hand over. It is linked to the first topic that we had of ICC. Do you hand over the Bashir to the ICC? And if you hand over the Bashir to the ICC, what are the implications? That is, those are pictures coming from Khartoum, and as you can see, a bullet-ridden vehicle of the Prime Minister, which had a bulletproof. He survived an assassination attempt. There was an attempt to assassinate the Prime Minister just a few miles away down from his official residence, and he has been evacuated and taken to a safe place. Those are the breaking news coming from the Republic of Sudan in Khartoum. Viewers, as you know, Sudan is unstable. After the overthrow of Bashir, Sudan decided to ban all political activities. The old party was banned, and I think people are trying to revenge, to take action in their hands. We pray for the people of Sudan. In Egypt, German tourist who was being treated for coronavirus in Egypt is the first fatality to be recorded in Africa because of the outbreak. The 60-year-old arrived in Egypt a week ago and complained of fever. The patient died after refusing to be transferred to an isolation card. That is the first record of coronavirus on the continent. Other news just coming in. The Ethics and Corruption Commission officers have just arrested the MP for Olkalau, MP David Njuguna Keriaro, for CDF money which he had eaten. That's the news coming in Kenya now. Niger. Boko Haram militants stormed an army base in southeastern Niger area on Sunday, injuring a number of soldiers. Local media said they took away arms, and Boko Haram targeted the area of the past 5 years. The insurgents began 11 years ago, but was initially confined to Nigeria before spreading to neighboring countries. In Tanzania, United States government agency has said Tanzania in East Africa is the biggest hub of drug trafficking, putting Dar es Salaam on the radar of international anti-narcotics spies. Dar es Salaam, I don't know, when they want to name you, they give you the name of a dog, a hyena, a donkey, then they isolate you. Someone wants to dismember Tanzania. Yes, Nigeria. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has commended Ngozi Okonjo-Iweal's appointment as a member of South Africa's Presidential Economic Advisory Council. Earlier, South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa had named the former managing director of operations World Bank as a member of the country's Economic Advisory Council. Economic Advisory Council is expected to advise the president on the monetary issues in South Africa. You know, this is the type of nationalism, Pan-Africanism we want. We want a Nigerian to work in South Africa and advise the government. We want a Ugandan to work in Kenya and advise the government of Kenya. A Kenyan go to Uganda to advise the government of Uganda. There is nothing wrong. This is a very good example of Pan-Africanism. Not this example of mutilating ourselves into, or Ugandan, you are Kenyan, or you are Somali, or you are Djibouti, or you are from Ethiopia. No, we want these people to be working together. Rwandan cabinet Friday approved a waiver of visa fees for a broad category of visitors entering the East African country. The cabinet approved the waiver of entry visas requirement to citizens of the member states of African Union, Commonwealth, Francophone countries to foster implementation of Rwanda openness policy. This is very good. You don't need a visa to go to Rwanda. New policy means that all Africans, citizens of Commonwealth nations, organizations, international, the Francophone, can enter Rwanda without having to pay visa fees. Wow! If there is anything, Rwanda is holding the flag for Africa. Thank you very much, Kagame. Again in Nigeria, the Senate introduced a bill that will make the vice president, governors, and their deputies lose their immunity if they misappropriate public funds. That's a good bill in Nigeria. I think we are talking and the people are hearing. Nigeria, go ahead, make it work. Thank you. And I think that is all we have today, this morning. We shall come back at 3 p.m. for Kenya Today, and we shall be looking at the BBI. 1 year. The BBI 2 years. After 2 years, what have we achieved? Kenya Today. Don't go away. Keep going. Keep standing. I will be with you back. Enjoy the music on the radio across the bridge. There is no sorrow by Pambe wa Pambe Mapambano. Thank you very much. Asante.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.